the intention was to kill us. I also think that's a well-rehearsed thing, and I think we just perhaps have done it before. Now, when we left in the car, I think it was the second day, somebody drove a car towards us on our side of the road, and it looked like they were trying to run us off the road. They turned at the last minute. Now, I wouldn't have mentioned it to my son, but he mentioned that a certain person drove a car towards him, and that certain person was the wife of the man who drove towards us.
Prove to me that you're alive.
What's really good, everybody? Welcome to the one, the only Prove to Me that you're alive Lightcast. That's a podcast, the only show in the world that challenges your perception on reality and life itself and gives you that mental kick in your spiritual gut so you can start grasping for air of information with the same enthusiasm just as you did when you were a little kid. Today, we have a dear friend coming back to the podcast. Oh, by the way, I'm supposed to say this. This is good for Google search. I'm your host, NazareN. So today we have a super special guest coming back. He's not a guest at all. He's a family member. He's a friend, and I'm super excited to have him back because we've been trying to set this up for quite a while, man. And it's been my fault. You know, a lot of things have been going on, so I apologize about that. But today we finally have him back, and I just want to say this, that our guest today, he's extremely inspiring to me. I know that whoever comes across him, he's extremely inspiring. His story is extremely inspiring. And the reason why he's so inspiring, because this is probably the most persistent and dedicated human being that you will ever meet. And I think that's a great inspiration to kids, to older people, especially now with everything going on with people smoking weed or drinking too much alcohol or just depressed or a lot of stuff on the news. And it seems like, our stamina is going down. And then we meet someone like this gentleman today, and you realize that you still have a lot to do, man. So without further ado, the one that's fighting for all of us, that's fighting for all of our children, for the safety of our children, for a just world, and for the souls that are not forgotten. The one, the only Alan Tait, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, man. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I hope you are as well. What a wonderful interview. People are now going to be really disappointed because you picked me up so much and they're going to meet me, but there you go.
Nah, man, it's true. It's true. I always think about this. My wife and I, like, we talk whenever I get lazy. She's like, "Yo, man, do you want me to remind you what Alan does?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, okay, I have to. I gotta get better, man." So you're an inspiration to everybody. Listen, this is what I
It's
want
nice.
to ask. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know. It's nice to think like that. Maybe your wife and my wife could sort of have a conversation. They could gang up on us.
Definitely, man, definitely. No, but it's true, man. It's true. You are truly inspiring. I think it's hard for someone to imagine to do something for 5 years or 10 years or 8 years as you have been doing. It takes a lot, man. It takes a lot because especially the journey that you're on, it could be very discouraging at times. At times you can feel like you're all alone in this, so it's very hard to keep going. So that's why you are such an inspiring character. And I'm just really hoping that you know everything that you're doing will work out and we actually get to see the handsome face of Alan Tait finally, man.
No, that's another disappointment for people, but there you go.
Nah, man, I'm pretty sure we're gonna like what we see, man. Good people usually look good physically too, man. So listen, what I was gonna say, so what I want to know is what have you been up to and how is your, like, because so I'm gonna sum it up a little bit. So you have a lot going on your channel. You've been translating a lot of the recordings. You have X amount of hours of recordings. So we're approaching the cold season, and you're also, you're moving around. Obviously, we don't want you to tell us exactly where you are, but so how are you doing, and how is the fight going on your end?
I think it's good. I mean, we're getting to the cold season, which is good because people stay indoors, they listen to sort of podcasts and things like that. With experience over the last 8 years, this is the time, and especially just after Christmas, where people do listen more. Recently, there's been more comments than there's normally, so that's good as well. And shortly, I'm not sure when, we're probably at least a fortnight away, we'll bring out a new documentary. But the new documentary has some really interesting new revelations. It surprises me that we found out so much. Every time we go to release it, we learn something else, and it's just been put back and put back.
I really like your point. See, this is exactly what I mean about you, man. You're never down. So I talked about the cold approaching, and Alan says it's a good time because that's when people are listening. It's a good point. Um, can you tell us anything about the documentary at all? What are you working on? You don't have to, like, reveal everything, but maybe you can tell us something about it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, when I released the first documentary, it was what's happened, what we thought had happened, backed up with factual information. And that was it. And there was a guy there, Simon, I might say more about him in a minute, who's been misleading people for yonks since 2018, and he's done it ever since. And I've always said that, if you're going to mislead somebody, you've got a reason for misleading people. Transporters recently, he was convicted of dealing in drugs. I think we talked about that before, didn't we?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna we're definitely gonna get into that. But what are you mostly hoping that the documentary will do, and when are you starting, like, on the production and everything like that? Like, when do you think we're actually gonna see the finished result?
Okay, I say, when do I start? I started. When did I start? It must be July this year. Um, and we were quite close at one point to putting it out. Um, and then somebody learned about our website and what the content was. And that was when there was a serious fire at the place where we made the recordings from, and it burnt to the ground. So we looked into that. There's going to be quite a bit in the documentary about that, about the fire, what the likely cause is, which is arson. Um, but there's a lot of suspicious stuff in the background as well. When we go into the new place, they've got things like that.
Okay. Do you know if there is any activity at the on College Road right now? Is there any activity around the building at all? Is the nail salon still active? Have there been any new news about it? Because it seems like, this place is, I don't know, there's some type of energy around it that it stayed in the news for quite a while. So what are the latest developments? Like, do you hear anything from back home?
I get very little information about it. Every so often, somebody goes back there and has a look. I mean, I can tell you that Sophie Nails itself, it burnt to the ground, and now they've got new premises. They're not in College Street, they're not far away, but they're not in College Street. The actual house, now, I don't understand it. Above the shop, I'd replaced that floor with marine ply, so it's like really thick, and that would hold a fire back for ages. Yeah, it wasn't just the floor that went, the whole roof went. I mean, that place is totally gutted. I don't know if you see a picture of the house, I think you have. The total top bit, all of it now, there was a storm and it all just fell to the floor. Whatever that fire was, that was a pretty strong fire.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, that in the criminal world, let's say, we know that fire it's the best way to, wipe out evidence, hide evidence, get rid of evidence. And you made a good point that it wasn't supposed to burn the way it burned. But are you kind of keeping a close look on the town of Ammanford? Are you checking to see, if there are any, maybe, press releases or newspapers or anything saying anything remotely closely to what we have been talking about this whole time?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got AI set up for all the news reports that I know of, and some that are a bit on the obscure side. And every so often, it throws up something that is of interest. I like Simon Griffiths being convicted of drug dealing, or like his son being convicted of coercive behaviour, attacking a police officer, and I think it was three other people that he beat up in London, which is interesting in itself. I'm trying to find out who the three people are in London. I think I know, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, so for those that might be just tuning in, and obviously we would encourage everyone to go watch the whole series. There will be a playlist. I keep forgetting to make a playlist. I will make a separate playlist today so you can go watch the whole series from the beginning, and you will realize that Simon is this reoccurring figure. And the way he became a reoccurring figure in this whole story is he sort of showed himself to Alan, and then he kept popping up as more information that Alan was releasing. Obviously, we're talking about the noises, the voices, the screams of children that were coming from somewhere under the basement. As Alan kept, doing what he was doing, trying to get as much attention about this as possible, this figure Simon, he kept appearing, he kept popping up. It wasn't like, I just want to clear this up. It wasn't like Alan went out and found this guy. This guy found himself, basically. We watched videos of this guy that he recorded himself, where, he says a lot of strange things. He looks very sketched out, as we would say in New York. He looks like he's paranoid. He's always on the lookout. And then obviously the most logical question is, if you don't have anything to do with this, why are you going such a extra length to try to diminish what Alan has been saying? It made zero sense. And I'm just going to speak from a personal point of view. I tend to say that I know people very well and I can read people very well. Is what Simon looks like to me is that he's one of these people that probably did a lot of, not good things, and then his conscience, whatever is left of his conscience, is finally catching up to him, and this is his way of kind of dealing with it. That's what Simon looked like to me. So since you started to touch on Simon, how about we talk about what you wanted to touch on, and it's Simon's case and the latest things that you found out about it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a bit of a flip because he has always denied absolutely. He puts forward a narrative every time. Initially, it wasn't me that actually found Simon, or not Simon coming to me either. It was Dave. Simon said on one of the channels when I played the noises, I can't remember what he said. He said I was delusional, the noises were in my head. And Dave picked him up on it. And it was a bit, it went between the two of them. I got involved afterwards. But somebody pointed out to Simon that if I was delusional and the noises were in my head, I wouldn't be able to record them. The guy, he's just odd. He's just promoting a narrative to try to convince people that the screams aren't real. He said everything I can think of. He's called me a paedophile. He's fudged paperwork to prove it. He fudged telling people that what was it? I attacked an old lady with a petrol can in a summer house. There is no end to this man. I reported it to the police. And I've got all the evidence and screenshots and everything, and the police didn't do anything at all. He seems to have an ulterior motive to me. But let's get back to his court case. Now, it's interesting. The court didn't actually have all the information. I found he'd had a conversation with a lady called Nadine. Now, Nadine is a paedophile hunter, and she records all her calls routinely. During this conversation between the two of them, Simon suddenly cut her short and said he's got to go because his other phone's ringing. I found that interesting because in court it was said that the police only seized one phone. So it makes you wonder, if the police have seized the place, why haven't they got both phones? And there's another bit as well. I did another bit of the article. It said about the cannabis. It was cannabis, yeah, being found with Simon. Right? He said there was no more in the house, but when his house was searched, there was a larger quantity in a bedroom. Now, Simon's pleaded guilty to all of it, but yet in a social media report, Simon had earlier said that it was wrong that he had to sleep in a chair and that his bedroom was where the children slept, his two boys slept. He also posted photos that appear to show his son Jack quite bruised. And he said at the time that the police, it was the police who'd beaten him up. Now, his son was actually in court for assaulting the two police officers. In the court on the day, the judge said something along the lines of he would have expected the policemen, if they weren't in uniform, to be in his court. So it does seem like Jack actually got beaten up with the police.
So you're implying that that the kid, well, first of all, I don't know. Is he a kid? Is his son a kid? Because he seems like he's old enough to get, locked up. So how old is the kid? Do you know?
First of all, he's got about 3, maybe 4 convictions, and he's about 24 now.
Okay, so he's already a grown man. So what are you implying? Are you implying that his son got beat up at home? Is that what you're saying?
No, opposite my house. This is the way the story was told in the press. Opposite my former house is a bus station. Apparently, his son had cut his leg, had a piece of glass in it, was sitting by his side when 2 police officers come up to him. Now, other than that, I don't know that much about it. I just know what Simon was posted. But it seems a bit wrong to me. I've watched this story. His son's currently in prison. But the earlier incident of assaulting police officers, I think I might say this is the 4th time he's been charged with assaulting police officers. One of them, 2 of the offences that he was alleged to have committed, the police dropped. Yeah? The judge said, he would have expected, if the policemen weren't in uniform, that they were actually the ones in court. Now, I'm not trying to imply anything really. What I'm trying to say is this: those convictions to me don't seem safe. So this is the thing. This is an investigation. And yes, every time Simon's told a lie about my investigation, I've used evidence and facts, and I've put it right. I put it out. I put it to everybody. This is what actually happened. And I think it's only fair that when I notice something like this, I kind of balance the books a bit.
Right. So in America, insulting an officer in any kind of way, I mean, you can even spit on an officer. It's a very serious charge. What is it like in the UK? Because it seems like UK is recently all over the place. People are getting charged for posting something on Facebook that the government doesn't like, with a big sentence, and then maybe someone got beat up and got a shorter sentence. So what do you know, like, is it as serious to insult an officer? I mean, I would think it is, because it is, as far as I'm concerned, it's very serious all around the world. So what is it like in the UK? Is it a serious charge to insult an officer?
I don't really know.
Assault an officer, excuse me.
Yeah, I don't really know, but I can tell you about Jack's conviction because I read about it. So Jack was out walking. A policeman stopped to see if he was okay. He attacked the policeman with a knife, and there's a video showing him slashing this knife around. And then apparently he ran off. If I remember rightly, he jumped over a fence or something, and he ended up getting tasered. And when it came to court, he got a suspended sentence.
Yeah, so I just looked it up, and it says that in the UK, assaulting an officer, obviously it's based on the circumstances, but it's a 2-year sentence, and someone can receive, you know, a maximum. Well, it says a maximum is 2 years, a minimum is 6 months, obviously, depending on the severity of the assault. So you're saying that, as far as his son is in jail right now. Is he in jail for the assault, or the assault case got dismissed, as you said?
No, no, no. Two different cases. This time he's serving 45 months for coercive behaviour. Apparently, he was controlling his girlfriend, and then went down to where she lives with a new boyfriend, and attacked him. But you had the coercive behaviour charge. He was charged with assaulting a police officer. He was also further charged with assaulting 3 people in London.
Okay, so I'm about to get to why I think that there's a connection to all of this, and why I see that you're trying to make this connection. But what more do you know of Simon and his family? Does he have a wife, an ex-wife? Like, what are the other kids like? How old are they, and things like that? Like, how much did you get to find out throughout this time?
I mean, Simon is currently single. Um, he has, I can't remember. He did mention it in one of his videos. I think he's got 2 sons. I think that's the extent of his family. I don't know. And he's got brothers and sisters. I think he's got, I don't know, I think it's 2 brothers and 1 sister. But this isn't really stuff I've researched. It's just stuff he said himself in his videos.
Hmm.
Um,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, no, no.
So, have you tried to speak to anyone in Ammanford when all of this went down, and then Simon surfaced up? He put himself into the scheme of things. Have you tried to find out from local people if they know anything about him?
I've spoken to, well, I tried to speak to Simon. Basically, he told me where to go. I made 2 or 3 phone calls. And he was just, which is vile. He just thinks that, to my face, he tells me that, the first thing he actually said was, what? You want to talk to me about the noises in your head? Now, clearly they're not in my head, but he doesn't want to have a rational discussion. He shows no empathy or concern. But it's not just that. I phoned my next door neighbours. They say the same. The noises don't exist. And it's all on the website. I recorded what they said and put it up there. The most people that I don't want to say too much about the people that contact me in Ammanford, but a lot of the ones that have tell me that something is going on in Ammanford, and most of the locals know about it,
Yeah.
but they're afraid to do anything.
Yeah, that's exactly what it seems like to me. That if someone, let's say like a neighbor, was to dismiss, obviously something like this, it's very shady. It seems very, very shady. Now, before I get back to Simon just a little bit, I just want to clear the air with the recordings themselves. So, obviously, in order for Alan to change his whole life around this story, to sacrifice as much as he sacrificed, I mean, you obviously, Alan, checked and double checked and triple checked, because that's another thing that that warlord guy, I forget his name, the one that made a video about it. So one of his claims was, and this is such a ridiculous claim, that these a lot of these recordings were coming from a nearby playground. So can you please once again clear the air on how this is completely stupid? I'm just gonna say it like that, because obviously, you checked, double checked, triple checked, and you can tell the difference when something is coming from a playground. And again, this is in the middle of the night, children playing in a playground, right? Like that's what kids do, man. 2 o'clock in the morning. Um, and like, how when you first got into this, how did this conversation go between you and your wife, that hey, maybe this is coming from somewhere else, maybe this is coming from a street? Like, how did you eliminate those possibilities? Can you please clear the air for all the dummies out there that still think there's a possibility that that these are recordings coming from a playground, man?
When we first heard the recordings, yeah, we were gobsmacked, and we had long conversations about where could they be coming from. But after that, it got a bit more organised. We had 4 recorders. We put them in different places of the house, just to see where the noises were the clearest. And literally, we put them everywhere. We also put them outside the house at one point as well. And the process of elimination, and this was over a couple of weeks or so, we worked out that they were coming from down in the basement. So we went down in the basement, and we could see on the far wall, the basement had some stuff for a charity in it, so it was completely trashed. We had to move all the stuff out of the way. But in this back wall, the one that faces Sophie and Nails, there was 1, 2, 3. It looked like the wall had subsided a bit. There was dust and dirt had come out of it, and some of the brickwork was loose. So I cleaned out a hole. It's quite a task as well. And one particular hole, the one that's in the photos on the website, is, I don't know, 12 inches square or something. I took out a couple of bricks because they were loose. Then I started digging down. So I scraped the mud with a fork and took it out with a spoon, bit by bit. And then I tried to vacuum up the rest of it. Now, I managed to get down inside that wall by 1.5 meters. It might have well gone down further than that, but I managed to get that far down. And that's where most of the clearer recordings came from.
Okay, yeah. So again, like, if you could, kind of take us back to the time where obviously, I could imagine I would be, scrambling and in shock, but at the same time, before I put my whole life on hold, my whole livelihood on hold, I'm trying to eliminate, where, all the possibilities that this is not, com- co- coming from where I think it's coming. So to me, I would be eliminating the playground, eliminating the street, eliminating the. I think someone says, "Oh, it was a weed whacker or something, or it was a chainsaw or something like that." So could you take us back to that time? I know you just told us how you cleared out that wall and you set up these recordings in multiple places, and especially we know that a lot of people came there and recorded these things themselves. They heard these things themselves. So this is not just Alan actually did a smart thing. He had people coming down and kind of double, triple, quadruple checking. But if you could take us back to that time to clear up for people how you started to eliminate the causes of the voices and the noises and the recordings, how you got to the point where you were sure that this is actually coming from where you think it was coming from.
We checked absolutely everything. By using 4 recorders, it gives you the opportunity, when you can hear the screams, you can compare it with the other recorders, and depending on where they are, you can work out where it's coming from. Now, it's important to say, directly in front of Sophia Nails, there's a main road. Across the road is a small bus station, probably got about 7, 8 buses in there. The bus station's got a loud bleeper. Every time a bus goes out, it bleeps. And I think it stands to reason because the bus station's across the road, maybe, I don't know, 20 metres away, yet the nearest school is 250 metres away. I think it stands to reason that you would hear that bleeper before you heard the school.
That makes a lot of sense.
There was much more than that. There's a leisure centre. Again, it's about 250 metres away. But I kind of get what people say about that because somebody's screaming and the echo that's in the leisure centre is quite similar. But you've got to remember we've had, I think it's 6 now, references to death. So you can imagine somebody in a leisure centre saying somebody's died and somebody else dies and somebody else dies. No, it's just crazy. Now, there's been reference to the park that's at the back of my house. Now, or my former house. There is a park there, Ammanford Park. Now, from the back of where the recordings were, the rest of the house is maybe, I don't know, 10 metres, something like that. Then there's an old outbuilding. Then there's a line of trees. And then there's the back of a tennis court. And then it goes on to the park, but it only goes on to the bit where people walk by. And again, if anybody's playing tennis, you can hear the balls crashing against the steel chain they put up. That's the first thing I would expect to see, expect to hear. Now, a lot of kids do play at a splash pool there, but the splash pool is the other side of the park. And again, it's at least, I don't know, 250 metres, something like that, away from the house. Yeah, those noises, I don't know about you, they sound a lot closer to me.
Yeah, they were, first of all, they're closer. Second of all, they are very clear. I mean, taking into consideration that there is a wall between the recorder and the actual, the actual happening. They're very clear. They're clear to the point where you can hear, these children saying these, oh man, he's saying these, scary, terrible things. Things like, you killed him, or things like, no, please, no. These are very clear, clear recordings. Now let's put this on pause for a second. And I just thought of asking you something. I don't think I asked you this before. What is the history of you purchasing this property? If you could take us back to the time where you started to look for a house, or like how did this happen that you came across this property, and how much did you know about it before you got there?
Okay, it's a fluke, really. I was living in Bulgaria, and I'd lived in Bulgaria, what, 3 years, 4 years? And I was quite happy there. We'd come back to see some friends and things. And one of my friends ran a business, and he was going out delivering promotional material. And I just went along with him. I'll just have a yap, help out a little bit. When we got to Ammanford, I saw a for sale notice, and it's an auction. And it said fire damaged property. Well, you weren't allowed to look inside, but I had to look at the front, I had to look at the back. Now, I was living in Bulgaria, but my income wasn't very high, but I had some money. So I thought if I bought that, it would do for my retirement. I could have it done up in between, going between England and Bulgaria. And by the time I retire, I've got the flat above the shop, and that's a bit of burnt out. It was scary thinking about that. But there's 4 rooms at the front as well, and we could rent them out. Now, that's the idea behind it. I went to the auction, and there wasn't that much interest. I'd been around the back in the park. I'd looked at it through binoculars. It didn't seem there was that much damage. Yeah, I got that wrong as well. Loads of damage. I won it for £38,000. I don't know what that is in dollars, but it's cheap for the size of the property and the area it is. And that's it. We got into the property, had problems with use, that we're using it as a den, things like that. One interesting thing that happened about a fortnight, I'd have to check that, about 2 weeks after we bought it, we had a knock on the door. And normally, I wouldn't have heard it, but I did. And I went out, and there's this guy there. He said, like, I missed the auction. And he offered me, I can't remember how much it was, but it was about £10,000 on top of what I paid. And I've looked back, I've turned it down. I've looked back on it, and I've always found that odd.
That's super strange, man.
Well, me and Chris sat down and we thought about it. I mean, it's a good profit. Take it back to Bulgaria, gives you some extra money and things like that. But we turned it down because we had a long-term plan for the property. It was tempting, though. And I think if I knew back then what I knew now, I'd take the 10 grand and run.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you, that personal question. Do you ever regret that you purchased that property?
No. I mean, it comes down to this, right? If this hadn't have happened, right, it might never have been discovered. It might not be the nicest thing that anybody's ever done or been involved in. I can't imagine anybody volunteering for it. But those kids don't get justice unless somebody finds out about stuff like this. And that's what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah, you were godsend. So this is what's a little strange to me, and I don't know, maybe this is a normal thing in Wales. Um, why weren't you allowed to see the inside of the property and only allowed to see the outside when as you were going through the purchase?
Yeah, it's a fire damaged property. Okay, so it's fire damaged before I bought it, and now it's been fire damaged again. Um, the fire was said to be caused by arson, and that's it. It's like an auctioneer's disclaimer. You buy at your own risk. Uh, no internal viewings. I'm presuming it's because of their insurance. Some fire damaged properties can be pretty bad inside. Staircases have gone, things like that.
Right. Okay, so um when you purchased it, were you from Ammanford originally?
No, no, not at all.
Okay.
On English, the whole story is when I was about maybe 21, 22, something like that. We went to Wales on holiday, and the people there are just lovely. They're much more laid back than English people than they were in those days. And we just fell in love with the place, and we thought if we could ever afford to live there, if we could get ourselves together to buy a house, because probably prices are cheaper in Wales, we would. But the reality of it was, in those days, we didn't have much money.
Mhm.
Fast forward a few years, we managed to save enough for a deposit and bought a house in Wales. And that was at a place called Lavera. Try pronouncing it, it's quite a good word.
So, going back to the house, the property, how much work did you put into it before it was livable? Was it a long process?
Yeah. Excuse me. What appeared to be a small hole in the roof from the back turned out to be, well, some of the main beams had gone through. So we destroyed everything that was in the place, threw it to the floor, rebuilt it all with new beams. But it was about half of the roof. And I mean, this is a big roof. And the bit that was over Sophia Nails, the bit between Sophia Nails and the flat. So if you like, their ceiling and our floor, it was completely shot. So all that was cut out and that was put right as well. And of course, after that, there's the tidying up of the building. But we done the initial work, the roof and things like that, because tiles were falling into the street, and you can't have it because kids walk past and things like that. We netted it all, and then we had the work done. And then we went back to Bulgaria, and the idea was that we were going to come back. When we came back, because the winters are quite harsh in Bulgaria, you probably know that. We'd come back, work on the place.
Still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was just sort of reminiscing, thinking about it, to be honest. We used to come back, we had access to another property. So the one in Ammanford, we didn't always use it. We've got friends in Rivera. They used to go on holiday that time of year, and we used to kind of babysit their house, and we used to stay there.
I got it. So, the reason why I'm asking you this question, besides the guy just popping up and offering you 10,000 on top of what you paid, as you're working on a house, as you're trying to make it livable, now trying to remember, were there any other strange occurrences as this was going on? Like did anything weird happen during this time?
After the guy that offered me 10 grand come around, about, well, with the week the work had started, so it's probably about 5, 6 weeks in, something like that. A guy come round. Now he was friendly enough. He was, nice enough. And what he said to me, and this always stuck with me. He asked me what would be in it for him if he lent me the money to do the repairs. And
Mhm.
you're talking about a fair amount of money because there were a fair amount of repairs. I asked him to explain himself. Transpires that he lends money, in return for interest. I didn't bother asking the interest rates. I explained to him I bought the property outright for cash. I explained to him that I've got probably enough to do the repairs, but if I haven't, I can go to the bank. So I really haven't got a problem. But the guy was amicable enough, and that was really the end of the conversation.
Yeah, this is I think this is why I'm asking you about why I'm trying to, bring you back to those times, because it seems like now you're mentioning these two occurrences with these two different gentlemen. It seems like there was something always, strange happening around this property, obviously, that you probably didn't pay attention to back then, that we could probably now look back and say, huh, that's a little questionable. So how long so you finish repairing it from a fire damage, you finally move in. How long from the time you moved in to when your wife first heard what she heard, how much time passed?
Well, we bought the house in 2008 initially, and it was 2018, June, July, when the noises were first heard. But it's important to realise that we weren't always in the house. In fact, we weren't always in the country.
Okay, so that's a that's a pretty long time. It's 10 years. So within those 10 years, nothing at all happened that you can remember now, that were kind of, maybe ringing off some bells in your head, like, I should investigate this or that. Like within 10 years, nothing like that happened.
Well, in fairness, we wouldn't have heard the noises at all if it wasn't for working late one night. And Chris had gone downstairs to make a cup of coffee, semi-derelict building, opposite us. And Chris has come back up with coffee, and she said, "Like, you need to come and listen to this." I tried to get out of it, but she forced me. And I went and listened, and you could hear like a machine running. That's what sort of started it. The more I listened to it, there was something odd there because it's derelict property, semi-derelict anyway. Nobody lives there. There are no lights on, but you can hear machines operating. Um, but we were tired, so we went back upstairs. Left the coffee, but I put my phone out the window, just pointing towards the house, just to see if it went on all night. And when I picked it up the following morning, in fact, it was later than that because I didn't actually listen to it straight away. But when I listened to the phone, I could hear these noises, but in the background, and there were of kids screaming. And I don't know, it just freaked me. That's why I decided to buy some recorders, and they were only recorders off eBay, and see if I could work out where it's coming from. And that's basically how it all started. But we would have never heard them otherwise. We'd never go out in that alleyway that time of night.
Okay, now, w- one of the interesting things that David has said, and I'm pretty sure he found out about this after looking into it, that that town um, always had a history of um how should I say this, something that having to do with child trafficking and these, you know, even from the locals, but then the Vietnamese gangs and everything. Before you heard what you heard on the recordings, living in that town, um how, going back now and looking at it from the outside, um how was that town to live in? Were, you know, were people acting strange? Were people super friendly, like the neighbors that you, even that you finally turned to listen to the recordings? Going back now and thinking about it, um can you remember, you know, anything, any strange behavior, anything like that from the locals in the town?
Well, it's like anywhere in the world. The vast majority of the population are fine. The Welsh people are lovely, and in that village, most people are open, most people are friendly, they're kind of welcoming. Um, that's what I would say. I would say, you know, in my opinion, I mean, Ammanford, unfortunately, is a rundown town
Mhm.
because South Wales was a mining area, and when they closed the mines, you got to find more employment, and of course, that's a big problem. But no, the people are fine. They've got like a community spirit. They hold community events, and you know, it was quite a reasonable place.
Did you make friends along the way? Obviously, you're, you know, you're a friendly guy. Did you make any close knit friends before this everything started to happen?
Yeah, I know people down there. I've eaten at other people's houses. They've eaten at mine. We've hung out together, that sort of thing.
Okay, did any of these this is why I'm asking, did any of these people, once this story kind of blew up, did any of these people come to assist you?
No comment.
Okay, that's fine. So
It's interesting that you said that. Um, one of the people um, that kind of befriended me, or we got to be friends, or whatever. Um, I've had suspicions about because of some of the things he's done, but I'm going to go into that more in the documentary. But one of the people seemed to be fishing for information all the time. Um, he even got me. He even come out to Bulgaria. I met some of my contacts that were out there, and I don't know. Some of the things that happened, I think, are questionable.
yeah, if you don't feel like talking about it, it's fine. We can wait until the documentary. Because the reason I'm asking this is, I'm trying to find out, because I'll explain myself. Because a town like Ammanford, it's a small town. It's around 8,000 population, which is tiny. We have buildings in my old neighborhood that have a bigger population. So it's a small town, and it seems like, you know, everyone kind of knows everyone. And because we know what these how these small towns function. You know, people know one another. People have their own secrets, if you will, you know, that they keep, the information that they gatekeep, especially a community like that. So the reason I'm asking you these questions is, I'm trying to find out how far did they let you inside of their, you know, Ammanford little world. And that's why I was asking you, what I was asking you. Because if you have, you know, if you would have gotten far enough, or if they would let you in far enough, maybe you could remember, you know, some strange things that, like, maybe you didn't pay attention to back then. Because for a story like this, and I thought about this a long time, is that it seems like to me that the majority of the town um knows about what's going on, and then they decide, they made a decision to kind of look away. And I'm not saying that, the whole town is involved. I'm just saying that we know how it is in small towns. People hear things, people know things, especially with a history like Ammanford. um and then there's a small population that might be directly connected to something like this happening, obviously, because in order to keep an operation like this under wraps, a lot of people have to be involved. You have to pay off the local police, you have to pay off the local businesses. You have to sit down and have a beer with this guy. Smoke a joint with that guy, whatever you may have. So that's why I'm asking you what I'm asking you now. Going back to the noises, and you just let me know if I'm being like annoying or anything. But to going back to the noises and the initial recordings, how long before, and I know one of the biggest things that happened was the gas incident at night. And you can talk about that if you want, because I think it's a very important uh night that the gas was released into the house. But how long did it take from the first recording to the point where you knew that this was serious enough? You knew that this was not coming from the street, this is not coming from the playground. How long passed before you guys knew that this is serious and you had to get out of there?
How long do you have?
From the gas.
Yeah,
Months.
yeah. I was just checking with Chris, see what she said. I thought maybe, yeah, 3 weeks, something like that. Chris reckoned it was a month, and it probably was. Now, when the gas come up the first time, we thought it was coming from the drain, which, yeah, it's reasonable, it could be. Um, Looking back on it now, I don't know how we come to that conclusion, because that was really strong gas. But anyway, two drains serve that property. So I sealed the first drain and I moved all the water over to the second drain, and that seemed to solve it. And that held for about 5 6 days, something like that. And then the gas come back, and it was really strong. I ended up down accident emergency with Chris. She couldn't wake up, so yeah, I sort of took her downstairs, got her back into the fresh air. And on one of the events where we went back, I could hear gas, but it was being released from a gas bottle. I was in the flat above, collecting the recorders, and it literally was so strong. The tops of my legs buckled, my stomach started to go. I realised what it was, and I threw myself towards the stairs. I think I hit the stairs 2 or 3 times before I hit the door at the bottom, and I managed to get out. And I can remember thinking then, uh, gasping for air. But I remember thinking that I've got to get out of the alleyway because I could be a target. And I got out onto the main street. Um, Eventually, I got my composure and left. It was around then that we decided not to go back into the house. Um, at the time, all we had was the loan of a car. So literally for about a month, was it? Something like that. About a month, we slept in the back of a car. Now, we're not talking about a huge, big car. This was a small car. Now, I don't know who makes the cars in America, but it's a small, like 4 people car. The boot opens out. It was just about big enough to get a blow-up bed in. And that's how we lived. And we looked around. We thought, we can't go back. What can we do? And we had a few nights in hotels and motels and things like that. We thought, right, while the police sort it out, because we thought they were going to, and we bought a van. Um, and that was the first van we've had.
So I think that we hit something very important, because if you think about it, right, a normal um a normal couple, is living there, everything's okay. You lived there for 10 years. Now if we put this together, put the puzzle pieces together, you're living there for 10 years, everything's okay. And then on one night, you make you your wife hears what she hears, then you record what you record. You're obviously eliminating um the causes of what this could be, obviously, because it's not like everyone just wants to pick up one day and go into a car and completely change their life. So if you think about it, for 10 years everything's okay, then you hear the noises, you make the recordings, and everything just spirals out of control very fast within a month, until the night where both of you are almost poisoned. Because this is, it's especially if someone is sleeping and they're not noticing that the gas is being released into the house. This is very dangerous. So, and that's very telling to me, that from the moment you caught on to it, to the moment you were packing up and you were out of there, it only took a month. And that tells me that you actually hit a nerve into this whole operation. What do you think about that? Do you agree with that?
I think maybe somebody was a tad annoyed with us. Yes, yeah. I think somebody took the decision to do that. I think the intention was to kill us. I also think that's a well rehearsed thing, and I think we just perhaps have done it before. Now, when we left in the car, I think it was the second day. Somebody drove a car towards us on our side of the road. It looked like they were trying to run us off the road. They turned at the last minute. Now, I wouldn't have mentioned it to my son, but he mentioned that a certain person drove a car towards him, and that certain person was the wife of the man who drove towards us.
That's insane, man. This is so crazy. It's much crazier because it's not a movie, it's real life. So when the gas incident happened, you guys left. Then you had, these crazy things happen on the road. You almost ran off the road. Your son had a similar incident. But when the gas thing happened, did you contact the local police right away? Did you ask them to go and check the CO2, maybe, levels in the house? Like, how did that process go?
Sorry, mate, I was just having a drink. We did report it, yes, but we reported it to who did we report it? It was a serious crime squad, was it? So
No, I got a crime number somewhere.
yeah, somewhere I've got a crime number for actually reporting it. Fast forward 6 months from that, and a policeman in his report actually said, when I went round there, I couldn't smell anything gas-like or out of the ordinary. And that's telling in itself. A, it was it six? Yeah, it was 6 months later. It wasn't properly investigated, but the gas was in the house. He didn't come in the house. He didn't go in somewhere else. He just walked up and down the alleyway.
Yeah, that's insane. So continuing to piece this up, because I think it's very important. Those initial months and the initial years that you first encountered this. I think it's very important. So you make the decision not to go back to the house. What happened, and how did you make the decision that you were actually going to fight back? What happened, or what ran through your mind? And obviously this is a decision where you couldn't just make by yourself. You guys had to make it together, you and your wife, you and your wonderful wife. So how did this happen? How did you make that decision to actually fight back and continue to fight back?
Initially, we thought, what the hell is going on? There must be something serious going on for that level of contact, the gas running off the road and things like that. But most people hear the story and they don't realise it doesn't quite work like that. What really happened is day by day, it developed. Yes, we've had conversations about what we're going to do, and we decided that we were going to get the recordings, give them to the police, and we presumed the police would take action. And in the early days when they didn't, we presumed there must be more to it than we know, and they're investigating it. But when they took no action at all, people like Dave and the others got involved. And it's just a crazy situation, but it develops day by day. I don't know. I think most people, if they've been through what we've been through, would also do exactly the same as I did. They probably don't know they would. They might not even think ever about it. But I think if they're put in that situation, your choice is this. You walk away, they've got nothing, the predators continue, and I presume they're still continuing today, to abuse kids, maybe kill children. Could you walk away from that? I don't think many people would.
Well, you'd be surprised, Alan. You'd be surprised. You're, you two are are a special kind of people. I think, uh, you call it a universe, call it God, call it your higher power, whatever it is, but some higher forces uh, acted acted in a way that you were chosen for the role, because I think that many people would get too scared and turn their back. And to be honest with you, I would even understand people. A lot of people, they want to protect their family, protect themselves. They're afraid, they're scared, they don't know what this is. Um, okay, so going back to the initial times, because these are crucial times, and I just really, the reason why I'm tapping into this so much is because I really want for the listeners, for the viewers to really try to imagine, what a normal family is going through while all of this is happening. You discovered something terrible. I don't think there's anything more terrible than something that involves the abuse of children. Like, we can all agree to the fact that this is the worst of the worst. Even in jail, people that abuse children get the worst sort of treatment. So you tapped into something that is the scariest thing, right? It involves children. Then you almost get killed. You're in this car. Someone is trying to hunt down your family. You turn to what you think is the law, and you think you live in the land of the law, and you then find out that the law is not on your side, which, at that moment, a lot of people would start thinking, well, listen, if the law is kind of brushing this off, then maybe this is not what I think it is. A person would start to get doubts. So correct me if I'm wrong. A video goes out on TikTok, and it gets a lot of attention. It was like a couple million views or something. Is that when who was the first one to contact you, and who was the first one besides you guys to go down there and do their own investigation?
Okay. Do I know? Um, David wasn't the first. I think, I'm not sure. Who was the first one? I think there were two local ladies. One of them sadly has passed away. It was a girl and her mother, a woman and her mum. They got involved together with a guy who was a ghost hunter, and they believed in the paranormal and everything. And they thought that it was a paranormal happening, and they were all going down this record ghosts and things like that. Well, cut a long story short, um, they didn't believe it was ghosts. But the two ladies went back and they made quite a lot of recordings. They're actually the ones, the couple that recorded the gunshots down there. um, and that was really, really, really worrying. And when we reported the gunshots and the automatic fire and the voices that can be heard in that clip, the police officer, his reports on the incident, said, well, automatic fire can travel a substantial distance, and yeah, maybe the noises were coming, from quite a way away. Well, you could hear a man's voice saying to tell Gareth to stay out of range, so they haven't come from miles away. But even if they had, what sort of country do you live in where the police officers don't take a recording of automatic fire seriously?
Well, and on top of that, anyone that knows anything about firearm can definitely hear that this shot went off in a closed environment. This is not um I heard myself that, this is not something that's going off in a field. This is not even something that's going off maybe on a street between buildings. Like I could tell this is definitely a gunshot that's going off in a, in a walled, if you will, in a closed um in a closed environment. So this is what's strange, and I don't think I told you this yet because I'm still doing my part, trying to do my part. But what's really strange is, and someone like me that's interested in the paranormal, I actually have a whole separate project dedicated to investigative paranormal work. It's going to be out as soon as I can manage time. But what I'm leading to is I have a lot of contact to pretty big, as you do yourself, to pretty big YouTubers in the UK, and anyone that knows about the paranormal community, if you will. These YouTubers, these bloggers, what have you, content makers, they're constantly looking for new locations to go and investigate. Whenever I would get in touch with someone about Ammanford and what's been coined as the term already, Ammanford Incident, um, for some reason people are staying away from this, and it's been very strange to me because I know a lot of these content creators for years. I know a lot of these content creators will go to the most insane places in the world, and whenever this is brought up, and obviously there's a ton of evidence, there are hours upon hours upon hours of recording, so it's not like you're going, to shoot off a blank, if you will. So there's something there to investigate, and for some reason people are staying away from College Road, from Ammanford. What do you think about that?
Well, let me turn that one on you. Let's imagine you're the investigator. You've heard the screams and things like that. You presume it's paranormal. You do a little bit of background research before you actually come down to the house, and you then start to realise that the recordings couldn't be paranormal. And then you hear the gunshots and people screaming in between the gunshots. Then you realise the police are involved, or at least some of them are involved. Would you still go down there?
Well, don't ask me, man, because I'm crazy as hell, man. If I was if I wasn't legally bound to stay in the country for right now, I'd be over there, and I would do something crazy. So, but I see what you're saying. 99.9% of the people, I see what you're saying. You make a great point, especially when someone finds out that, hey, this is not, your ghost, another ghost story, that this is something that involves actual children. So you make a great point, but again, um to me this was very strange that someone won't even go near there. And then what's even more strange is I won't even talk about the craziness that I had when we started to do this whole series about my computer shutting down, or all of a sudden my Wi-Fi not working. Like that's a whole other piece to this. um
Mhm.
but what's even more strange is that all of a sudden we have a YouTuber in America, um, that I'm suspecting is not just a YouTuber because of how the channel evolved, how fast the channel evolved, which tells me that a lot of um, marketing um, marketing money goes into pushing a channel that quick, because I just know the way YouTube is nowadays. And this channel makes the video that they make. I don't know, the last time I checked it got like over 200,000 views. um and again, the video looks like this whole time this person is trying to discredit the whole story, which is, it's not that strange in itself. What's really strange to me is my question was, uh obviously, is how is this person getting this information? I mean, like, what do you say again about that whole thing?
And the video is, I don't know what to say about it. It's been deliberately made to promote a narrative that simply isn't true.
But how would,
It's
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but logically, how would someone get this information unless they were talking to you directly, which they weren't? Like, where would they be pulling this information from?
I guess we publish quite a lot on different social media platforms, and then there's my website, which tends to be comprehensive. We try to give out as much information as we can, but I would hazard a guess that because that podcast is in America, and there's a few other things that suggest there's an American link, I think that's exactly it. I think that the local people who, like Simon, have tried haven't done really well. And I think maybe we've notched it up a little bit, and other people that are involved are trying. But it does seem like there's a link back to America.
Yeah, the reason why I'm even bringing this up and why I'm trying to piece this up together, and this episode and our series is going to be like a like a review episode. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I think that there's a lot of work being done on a very strange side, a lot of work being done into discrediting you for one, but trying to make all of us look crazy, especially you. Like, there's way too much work being done into trying to make just a little old Alan. Obviously, you're not a little old Alan, but a little old Alan from the UK. There's way too much work being done into trying to make you look crazy, man. What do you think about that?
Well, let's cover that one. The inspector of police who wasn't interested in the shotguns is also the same inspector of police who released a statement saying something along the lines of, "I was seen by the crisis team, the mental health crisis team in Ammanford," and he gave a date and everything like that. The downside to that was I was actually with my solicitor, so I pointed it out, and the police did apologise. The point of it is, I asked them, well, why and how was that statement made? But I didn't get an answer. And at the same time, Simon and a few others were also reporting the mental health bit, right? And nuts and this and that. Well, okay, let's just presume for 1 minute that I am. But then, if I am, how do you account for all the other people that have been involved, the Davids and things?
You still there?
I mean, David, you probably don't actually realise this, but when I used to get the recordings, I mean, I'd sneak back, I know it sounds crazy, into my own house, early. I would park in a nearby sort of forest, and yeah, that's what I'd do. I'd sneak in when I knew they weren't there. I'd go back after the batteries had gone flat, so we got loads of recordings over, a period of time. And that's what I'd do. But David actually went back there after everything was known, after the gunshots, all of it. And he didn't sneak in. He blatantly walked in and out of the building. The thing is with David, he's like, he's a special sort of bloke. He knew what was going on in there, and did it anyway. He went down with a guy called Gary, and Gary went in once and then refused to ever go back in. He always stayed outside after that. He said the building had sort of an evil feel to it. But Dave, in and out.
Yeah. I have to say this, and because you talk about like mental health and things like that. Um, by knowing you this whole time, by speaking to you, by conversating with you, by talking to David, and I got to know you very well. This is the thing that you are probably uh, one of the most sane people out there. That's why this story is so gripping, because every time you talk to, I talk to you, anyone talks to you, you can tell that you are all there. You're not someone that just one day decided to go on this crazy ass adventure, excuse my French. um so but again, going back to the point where even if there was like whatever mental health like this, and if this was nothing, I don't think so much effort would have been put into discrediting again, like just uh a guy in Wales. It's not like you're a celebrity or anything like that, man. So that's what's really strange and very telling, man, that so much work has been put into fighting you back. And again, if there was nothing there, it would be no reason for anyone to do that. I want to, if it's okay with you, we can wrap up for today. And we have to do the what do you call, the AI. We really have to do that episode, because I kind of ran through AI on this topic myself. A lot of very interesting things came up. I also want to mention that on my side, I've been talking to a lot of heavy hitters, a lot of pretty big people out there. I'm trying to have them join this whole mission. I haven't said anything about it because it's a little too soon to say. I don't want to speak before anything happens, but I just want to say that on my part, a lot of work is being done. A lot of people are becoming interested in this. But the reason I'm even mentioning this before we wrap up, Alan, how have you been doing lately with the crazy life that you are living, fighting this whole thing, continuing your mission? You're moving around, and also two-part question. So, how have you two been doing? How hard has it been, especially when it's getting cold now? And how can people help? You're never asking for help. How can people actually help? Is there a way to donate? Maybe you have some donations, because I think it would be a good idea to open up a portal where people can actually go and help out. But again, what has it been like for you lately, especially with the moving around? Are you getting discouraged or more encouraged in your fight? And how can people help out, brother?
It's an interesting point. Are we getting more discouraged? No, this might sound strange to you, and what I'm going to say is probably going to sound strange to me, but we're not getting more discouraged. We talk about ideas, plans, and we've done so bloody much to get this across Yeah, so we figure that we're doing something wrong, so we need to change it. Something needs to change, so we'll try something else, and we'll keep on trying. And there is a reason that none of our channels are monetized. There is no donation portal. And to be honest, yes, money would come in handy because we do things like post out all the information to people we think will help. Sometimes we hear back, sometimes we don't, with USB sticks. And yeah, the cost does add up because we're really pensioners, we live off our pension. As for getting disheartened and things like that, I don't know. I mean, as you know, we live in a van. I mean, it's not what I think you call them RVs, any recreational vehicles. You're still there?
Yeah, I'm listening. I mute myself whenever you're talking, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, cool. So, for anybody that's listening that is in America, the RVs over here are a lot smaller than the ones you guys have got. Some of those you got over there are really nice. But to start with, we had this car. Then we had a really small van. And then we changed that for a bigger looking van. And in the last, I don't know, 3-4 months, something like that. In the UK, I don't know if it's the same in the US, you get what's called granddad's rights, as they're known in the UK, if you've had a license before 1997. Now, this allows you to drive the bigger stuff, up to a 7.5 ton lorry. So we thought it was an old Freshest lorry, and kitted it out. Now, you're not going to identify from that because it's all been destickered and everything like that. But it just fits in everywhere, anywhere, yeah. Anywhere there's like lorries or buses and things like that. It's cool. We can disappear anywhere. But it's much bigger than anything we've had, and much more spacious even. Now, we kept the best bits and ideas from our old vans. Like, in one of the vans, we fitted 2 single beds, and they folded up to side walls, and there was an office underneath. Well, that worked really well, so we transferred it over. We've got a couple of really nice, big, we call them Horlicks armchairs. I don't know if that means the same over there. They're big and comfortable chairs. Now we've got all the everyday stuff as well. Blown hot air heating. I mean, you can turn it up as high as you want. That's it. Runs off LPG that you get. We just take the up to a garage. You can fill it from a petrol pump in the UK. And that's backed up with a diesel heater in case the LPG runs out. Because with the thing with Russia and the Ukraine at the moment, LPG might just run out this year. On top of that, what we've got, let's have a look. Over the corner is the 3-ring cooker. We've got an oven, we've got a microwave. There's a toilet and shower through that door there. We've got running hot and cold water. Now, in the main bit, this is quite cool actually. It didn't cost me that much money. I think it's about £55, something like that. We've got a projector rigged up for watching movies. And these projectors, although they don't use much electric, I've got a screen that hangs down, but I don't even know how big the screen actually is, but it's about, must be an 8-foot picture, and it's fairly clear. It's not much money. I mean, the biggest gain I think we had when we changed the van was the extra size on the roof meant I could put up more solar power. And as you know, there's been a couple of times we've got together and my electric ran out in the early days. Now, in total now, I managed to get on the roof 6 450-watt panels. That's 2,700 watts in total. Now, it's not that much actually, because it still gets really cloudy in the UK. But yeah, at the end of the day, I suppose we've got a lifestyle that really is okay. We're not complaining. I just like to,
see some sort of resolve.
Yeah, I want to get justice for the children. That's my main thing. You asked me how people can help. Well, I think that comes down to reposting, getting anybody in contact that can do something. I mean, surely there's enough people out there that want to do something about this.
Yeah, I
But then,
have a
so,
sorry for interrupting you. I have a pretty big I'm not gonna announce it quite yet, but a pretty big heavy hitter, someone with an extremely large following, a whole movement behind him. He's gonna be on the podcast this week, and we will in detail touch on this subject because he's very interested and very interested in helping out and very shocked from how this whole story has transpired, from the lack of action from the side of the law. And this person has been around a lot. He goes all around the world, and what he told me is something that we kind of been thinking, and we've been agreeing on, that this is much larger than Ammanford. It's much larger than Wales. It's much larger than UK. That perhaps we think that you became a part of an international operation, and that's why you got so much lashback from the enemy, let's say. So we'll be announcing that this week. Alan, I just want to tell you that in regards to the donations, I really want you to understand this, and please don't think that that this is your friend telling you or your brother is telling you this. I'm just telling you this as a regular person, that you shouldn't feel bad for asking for donations. It doesn't matter what it's for. If it's for a new computer, if it's for you to have enough money for a week. Why? Because little do you know, you are doing the work for all of us. You and your wife are doing the work for these children, but also for the the children of today, the children of tomorrow. So this is much bigger than you. That's why I think you should have that donation portal. You can set up a donation website where you don't have to disclose your location or like where the money is going, like things are encrypted and stuff like that. So there are possibilities for that, but again, don't feel any kind of way, because I understand, you're a man that has worked for his own your whole life, and maybe sometimes you feel strange, people donating. But I think it's important, the more people can help out, and especially with the finances, the more you can be okay to continue doing what you are doing. And again, you're doing work for all of us, because this is much bigger than you. It's much bigger than me. It's much bigger than I think what we even can imagine. And I think once all of this comes to unravel, a lot of people will be shocked how big this whole story is, man. So before we wrap up, Alan, is there anything else that you want to say to the people?
I think that just maybe you've changed the way I look at donations. But in the early days, the reasons that we didn't monetize anything, because we could have done with the money, that's for sure. The reason we didn't is because our friend Simon was saying that the channels were monetized. And we've raised money, and the money that we raised was paying for us to go over, and visit children over there. This is the same time as he put the ridiculous paedophile story out about me. And I don't know, by not accepting anything from anybody, and there's been a few people ask along the way. We, for 8 years now, well, almost 8 years, that's just over 7. Um, we managed to stay independent. Nobody has a say in anything. Um, but that was the main reason. The main reason was because he was telling people that we were taking money.
Yeah, listen, you're still independent, but you you should let people help out, man, because again, this is bigger than you. And as far as Simon goes, anyone that looks at Simon even for a couple of seconds and then listens to you, like, we know who's the, sorry to say, but we know who's the insane one and who's, the guilty one. And like, you can tell right away. So that's as far as Simon goes. But again, Alan, I think it would be, a good idea to let people help out somehow. It doesn't take away from, this whole thing being, your fight, man. But I think it's important because it will allow you, from the money that will come in, and allowing people to help, it will allow you to be more, more productive, moving around much easier, not worried about, the winter coming or fixing the van or this and that. That way you can continue doing what you're doing, and we can start, seeing some sort of a result from all of this, because all of us that have been a part of the story, man, we're getting impatient. We want for the lid to be blown already. And I mean that from a good side, like, obviously we're with you all the way, but we mean, like, thinking about and knowing about how much time you have put into this. We want to see actual, some sort of results happening already, man. So Alan Tate, you are an exceptional human being. Let me know if you set up that donation portal, man. That way it could be shared. um if you will have time this week, because my schedule freed up, if you will have time this week, we can do the whole AI thing, because I think it will be interesting. And yeah, man, anything else you want to say before we out of here?
Yeah, two things. The AI thing, I've been doing some bits on it as well. And I've got some amazing stuff that's come out of that. So, yeah, let's do that, mate. I look forward to that one. What's the point I was going to make? Yeah, earlier you said about it being bigger than me. This is what I think. I am fairly sure that what we discovered was a hub. I'm fairly sure that some of the stuff that we found out was expensive equipment that I don't think they could move easily or find another location to it. I think that equipment was moved further down the tunnel or whatever it is. And I still think they're there today. But here's the big thing. If we could track that down and see where it went and see who was involved, just maybe we could stop all this, whatever you want to call it, that goes on in the world.
That's a great point, man. That's a great point, because I think that this is another very scary thing. As you said this about the equipment, um, I thought to myself that these things have been happening for far too long. These injustices have been happening way too much, and the way these perpetrators are feeling is that they can get away with it every single time, and that's exactly what we've been seeing. So I think you make an excellent point, and I have a feeling like this time they're not going to get away with it, man. So Alan Tate, thank you so much. Thank your wife so much. You're an incredible human being. You're an inspiration. You're a motivation to all of us. Anytime you feel like, you're too lazy to get up and use the bathroom because you just woke up, and like think about Alan, man. Think about what he's been through and what he's been doing, man. So ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Alan Tate, and the channel, YouTube channel, is Alan Tate Ammanford. That's the way you find it. And I'll be leaving all the links in the description, of course. So Alan, my brother, thank you so much. See you soon, man. Let's get up like Friday or something and do the AI thing.
Yeah, I'm up for that. Thanks for your time.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
brother.
making the effort, because I know you do make a lot of effort. Yeah, Thursday or Friday is good for me. And to be honest, I'm really looking forward to that AI one.
Yeah.
Some of the things that AI threw up, like Ammanford is a hub. Now it's a hub for cannabis. Just got that going on. The convictions there. It produces more cannabis and has done over the years than the local population could ever use. And now, if you think a bit deeper, the level of convictions is probably, I don't know, a fifth of a true quantity. So where's it going?
Yeah, that's very interesting, man. That's a very interesting point. Yeah, the one thing about AI is you just have to know how to talk to it, man. All right, Alan, thank you so much. I have to run to the bathroom. You are the greatest ever. Let's stay in touch, and maybe Friday we can do this because my schedule is way better now. Alan, thank you so much for your work, man. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for being who you are, and for what it's worth. God bless you and yours, man.
Yeah. Cheers, Naz. We'll catch up the weekend. And give my best regards to your wife.
I'll see you, brother. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Yep, later.
Ciao.
Bye.